on their individual team.
Did anyone else hear her? Did anyone else? No? I've been in situations where everybody says it and there's someone jumping up and down on the table saying, let's work together, and everyone decides, you know what, it's kind of fun to compete. And they basically just that's sort of the way the game is, and it just keeps going off in that direction. But if you add up the points that these guys have collaborating, and in fact, if you just did the simple math, if everybody just collaborated and counted the number, you say, great, of course we're all going to come out on top if we all work together. Yeah. Yes.
I was wondering, when you guys saw us collaborating and all doing the same thing, did that make you think?
We didn't see you.
So Peter here was last year observing our class while this exercise. So what was this? What's your observation on that?
One of the biggest thing that I couldn't say too much since I knew was I saw you guys just making one big group, and everyone here was just kind of focused on their stuff to an extent and not seeing, even though we were not supposed to. There was a requirement that we couldn't interact with them, but we kind of weren't learning from them.
Well, that's a really good point. How many of you sent someone out to look what other people were doing? We're all in the same room here. It was not very difficult. I'm standing up here watching what's going on. Did anyone go out and say, oh, they had a really cool idea. They had a cool idea. Did anyone do that?
I was definitely keeping an eye on.
Okay, did that influence what you did?
No, because I was pretty confident we had.
Okay, you're pretty confident.
We didn't. I think we had the optimal in terms of like what I said earlier, of insurance, of just being sort of moderately successful, because we each of our teams individually did better than your worst team, but not as good as your best team. We were sort of in the middle of how you know. So I think that's.
Well, good point. Hold on a second. Yeah.
See, I think you learn in school too when you're trained, not to take other people's ideas and not to share.
Isn't that funny? It's quite funny because I've been giving a lot of I recently read an article about all the ways that kids cheat in school, and one of them, of course, is sharing information. But I sort of joke when I give talks that that's what I teach my students to do, all the things they told you not. Who goes out in the real world? Peggy, when you are working, does anyone ever say, don't talk to anyone else?
Never.
They say, talk to everybody. Do you think that the IDEO folks in any way feel limited when they're going to come up with something that they shouldn't go and talk to anybody? Or look at someone else's paper? Your goal is to get as much information as possible. And this is a really good example of the way we are mistaught in school. You're taught that if you go and look at someone else, that's cheating. But the fact is, all these resources were right in front of you for you to take those ideas. Okay. Other thoughts? Yes?
So one interesting thing was that because we all collaborated, we were all able to get basically the optimal possible number of points. But in the end, it kind of restricted our creativity, right? Because we didn't go out and look. Because we had an optimal solution, we didn't really need to innovate on this. If you look at the other groups here, they have really interesting houses, whereas we kind of have all the same. And I just found it kind of interesting with the differences.
That's a really good point.
They only made it to the